Rosie McDonel Augsburger. I've lived at Sedgebrook for a year and a half. I grew up in Oak Park, Illinois, and as a young adult, I taught preschool and kindergarten. In the late 60s, the Art Institute started a docent program, and I volunteered and stepped into the world of art. Art Institute docents were the guides for 5th grade students who came to the museum with their school classes. I did graduate work at Emory University in Atlanta, and I curated a year-long exhibit, Children in America, a study of images and attitudes for the High Museum of Art in Atlanta. Following a 12-year career in museum education at the High Museum, I moved to a farm in central Illinois and began teaching art history and humanities at the Danville Area Community College. When I retired, I returned to Chicago North Shore. I became a docent at the Block Museum at Northwestern University in Evanston. And after talking about it for decades, I finally decided to try painting myself. I started with drawing classes at the Evanston Art Center. 8 years ago, I took a 2-session class called Watercolors for Those Who Think They Can't. It was at the Women's Exchange in the Winnetka Community House. The instructor, Marla Snyder, invited me to join 4 other students who meet in her home. We have met weekly and painted together for the last 8 years. I've also taken classes at the North Shore Art League in Winnetka and the Botanic Garden, Chicago Botanic Garden in Glencoe. 28 of my paintings are in private collections, which include 4 which are currently on display in the Texas Children's Hospital in Houston, Texas. I find painting and knitting relaxing and meditative. The first picture is an oil pastel. For a little while, I took some courses at the North Shore Art League in oil pastel and discovered it wasn't my medium, but I had a good time with it when I did do it. And this is the Wilmette Beach. And we lived in Wilmette before we moved to Sedgebrook. The tulips were done in one of my art classes, just an adventure. I thought it was a look I would like. I wanted to do tulips, so that's what I painted. And the orchid here, I did at the Botanic Garden, and we had orchids in front of us, and we got to choose whichever orchid we wanted to paint, and so I did that one. This picture is my grandson, and he had an elephant like this, and his parents sent us a photograph of it, and so I made a picture of it. This other picture is also of Ollie, and this is one of the pictures that's hanging in the Texas Children's Museum. Ollie is eating ice cream bars at a park nearby. This little card here is a photograph of I had some cards made of my painting, some of them, and this is in Kyoto, Japan, a trip I had 5 years ago, and this is the Golden Pavilion in Kyoto, which I had fun drawing. This is Lauren with a little girl with flowers, and she's actually, the story that goes with it is she's walking into the nursing home where her grandmother lives and has Alzheimer's, and so she's taking flowers to her grandmother. And that's also one of the pictures at the Texas Children's Museum. This painting, Early Roses, was one of the first paintings I did. Friends came for dinner and they brought me a bouquet of roses, and I put it in a bowl, and I didn't like it. And so my art teacher said, why don't you do some doodling on it, and sort of divided it up in little sections and did different doodles in every section. And the bowl, that design, I went to a museum exhibit at the Art Institute, and the artists that we were looking at had done a lot of large paintings with just leaf designs, and I thought it was very pretty, so I decided to put those in the bowl. And a friend owns that. This is a picture, my husband took this picture of a house and shop when we were in New Orleans for the holidays a number of years ago, and actually this is the picture he took, and then this is the painting I did from the picture. It was a challenging painting to do because of all the cobblestones and bricks, but it got kind of enchanting, and I had a good time with it. The Forsythia is from a photograph I saw in an art class, and I like the flowers because forsythias are among my favorites. So I did this painting, and that spring, when I did the painting, forsythia were out, so we drove all over the community and took all kinds of pictures of Forsythia so I could get it right in the picture. And that was another one I had a good time with. It was an adventure. This picture is of grapes that I had a photograph of and painted them. And that was fun to do. Yeah, this is a card made from the painting. I don't have that painting anymore. My daughter-in-law liked it, so I gave it to her. But it was a fun thing to paint. The picture of the hummingbird I did because I'm a big hummingbird fan. And it's when I went to visit a friend in California, her husband had recently died, and I went out to visit with her. And she told me when I got there that when her husband, she and her daughters came back from the funeral, that there were hummingbirds all around the front door. And that she thought that meant that that was his spirit with her. And so when I had gone to visit her, I had taken some of my cards, and lo and behold, she just had finished telling me that story, and I had this card to give her. So I have sent her the original painting, which she has hanging above a photograph of her husband. But I love that story. The poinsettia was a gift from friends of mine one year at the holidays, and it was a beautiful poinsettia, and I painted it. From looking at it, it was a fun painting to do. This orchid was an orchid that I had, and I have had a number of orchids, my favorites. And this was a Cattleya orchid, and every year it bloomed from Thanksgiving, from Halloween through Thanksgiving. And it bloomed for about 5 years. So I did a painting of that. This is a little girl with big shoes, and she actually wore those shoes, and her grandmother is the one that has Alzheimer's, and she always liked to wear big pearls when she went to visit her grandmother and to visit when her grandmother was well, and walked around the house with her grandmother's shoes on. So I put on big pearls on her and put the shoes on her. This painting is also my grandson Ollie, and it is Ollie in big shoes. And so he has a little sister now, so I now have a painting to do of his little sister with big shoes. Kids have fun trying on their parents' shoes and walking around in them. The teddy bear I did from looking at a teddy bear, a set of teddy bears. My art teacher had them, and I just thought they would be fun to paint, and so I did them. And I was pleased the way they turned out. I think they turned out to be quite cute. This painting of the violas, I did just this winter, and those violas were blooming on our patio here at Sedgebrook all last summer, and it's sort of a remembrance of summer 2020 in our apartment and looking out on the pretty flowers.